I would like to invite the fourth speaker, and the last one in this session, Justyna Tomczak-Boczko, of the University of Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań. And we will have now a Latino flavor to this session.
That sounds good. I would like, first of all, say that I'm truly grateful to be invited to participate in such an honorable symposium. And I'm coming with more questions than answers. And I'm really open to your critique, your opinion, and ideas that I would try to apply in my work. In the next 20 minutes, I will present my research and the methodological problems that I'm coping with. Let's start with... okay, yeah, it's okay. Let's start with Macho. Macho is a word which made an international career. Even children know how the macho looks like and behaves. I don't know if you've seen this comedy, Despicable Me. There is a figure Macho. It's the name of this person in the comedy. And you can see also the basic definitions in Polish and English. And although the word retains its original spelling, its meaning do not represent even a part of semantic wealth which macho is associated by the native user of Spanish in Mexico. Let's start from Spain. One of the meaning mentioned in the dictionaries published in Spain talks about macho as a stupid man. And it was one of the first meaning I found about men, because of course there are many, much more meanings about macho things. However, the dictionary of the Spanish Royal Academy noticed that the meaning is becoming obsolete, and it states that macho is a man who has features believed to be the property of his sex, especially strength and courage. Of course, so it's an adjective used for macho hair, macho wine, and means thick, strong hair or alcohol. But in Mexico, the basic meaning is the one who is courageous and strong and has traits traditionally attributed to men. This is very, it repeats in many dictionaries. But also it's a man who believes that the male sex is naturally better than female and underlines features traditionally attributed to men, tries to impose and dominate women and demonstrate their power, masculinity in front of women and other men. And we talk then of Mexican macho. And the third meaning is about the man, especially when one needs to emphasize his sexuality. Regresó convertido en un macho alto y guapo. It's therefore not surprising that when the Mexicans speak of macho plants or macho fruits, they highlight their exceptional size, body build, or other attributes. And one of the newest definition is also the one who professes machismo. This is the new one. And machismo is defined as an attitude of a man who believes his sex to be naturally superior to female sex, which he manifests on the one hand showing paternalism toward women and on the other hand demonstrating his strength and masculinity. Let's see what was written about macho in the literature. The research didn't focus much on defining the features of macho, unfortunately, but rather on the entire phenomenon of machismo. And it started in the 50s when the term machismo was coined as a typical case of unaware compensation of female tendencies in Mexican men. And it gave rise to the issue of machismo as psychological phenomenon, and it focused mainly on its pathological and destructive aspects of in individual life. And the second case study, the second big school, is the one developed on the grounds of the social cultural theories, and its major subjects are the dominance of men over women, subordination of women, and conflicts between men. But and to be honest, it's the majority of the literature that we can buy now and read is about violence. There is no agreement between scientists what machismo is, though it's so many literature about it. Is it an instinct, or is it a code of masculinity, a characteristic of the whole Latin America? Is it ideology? Is it basic code of masculine identity of Mexico? Or it's an attitude or syndrome? We don't know. There is, they agree more or less of the features of macho. We have the list here. But anyway, normally I could say that I'm totally, I totally agree with Rafael Ramirez, who wrote that the source literature is mainly descriptive, superficial, and repetitive, and it doesn't reflect what the ordinary Mexicans think about macho when they use this word. In a very interesting study, Alfredo Miranda proved that there is a clear association of macho with the ethical code, according to which macho is assertive, fights for his rights and also for the rights of other people. He's brave, he's responsible, he's not an egoist, he cares for the well-being of others, he follows the ethical code of man, he's sincere, he respects others and is himself respected, and he keeps his word. So I would like to present my fieldwork and the problems that I'm having right now. Fieldwork I carried out in Guadalajara, Mexico, a few years ago, unfortunately. I did 29 in-depth interviews, and the selection of the interviewees depended on the social class they belonged to or they declared to belong, their gender, age, and their sexual orientation, because I don't know if you want, but Guadalajara is the gay capital of Mexico, so I couldn't just skip this factor. And the method used to contact me with the interviewees was the method called Snowball, and the order of the questions and the form depended on the life history of the particular person, because I always started, tell me about where you were born, what your father did, just life history, and then I started to ask them about their opinions on the subject that I will mention in a few seconds. Okay, so here we have the topics that I tried to cover, and in the end I asked them for definitions of macho, of a good man, of a good woman. So what's the problem? First of all, I analyzed for this conference only 14 of the 29 interviews, but anyway, in more than 130,000 words or a little bit more, the interviewees spontaneously used the term macho only 7 times, and 2 times machos, and machismo only when I asked them. It's not the word used in the common spoken language. And it doesn't differ from the corpora, because first I did the corpora studies, and you can see that in the specialized corpora I had only 1 hit. For example, even in the Corpus de las Sexualidades in Mexico, it was only 1 phrase like don't be a macho, something like very obvious, very simple. And the last 2, the reference corpora from Spain, from the Academia Real Española. And but the good thing is that they had the possibility to work on the subcorpus, Mexican subcorpus. And though it seems that I found quite enough concordances, we can see that the frequency is not really very high. And okay, this is why I called it invisible macho, because many years ago I had the idea to study the Mexican man, and I thought, okay, machismo is very, for sure I will find a lot of things, a lot of literature, and now I'm coping with the problem that I cannot to work on linguistically, because I don't find the word, so I can choose, okay, let's put hombre, because you know, I can say that every hombre is macho, but it's not So it would be too much from, you know, my intervention would be too big.
Justyna?
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, so first of all, look at the definitions that the interviewers gave me. This is a short analysis of this. First of all, it's not positive for none of them. But almost everybody admit that they know many of machos. I'm not macho, but I know many of them. It's always defined in relation to women, never to other men. So they are jealous, they want to have their women controlled, their women should stay at home. At the same time they boast they have sex with others, they have many women and many children, they are womanizers, and they don't value women, they treat them as objects. And the three most striking features of macho from these definitions: the power, selfishness, and aggression. And the power is it's in every definition, that he decides. He decides when he says, I have to do it. And but it's also important that they all normally says about others. You know, I'm free, but I saw that in the family of my uncle, etc., etc. So it's also interesting, I think so. And the positive features, almost none, but when I insisted, they told me that the physical appearance of macho is very interesting. And they also, the patriarchal macho who pays, for example, for women. So I decided to work with the whole text of these interviews using the collocational networks. First of all, because collocates acts as triggers, as Baker wrote. So it may help me to get to the unconscious part, because in the definitions I couldn't find really a lot of material to study. And also there is this part of negotiability in meaning. And the Williams, who wrote a really interesting article about collocational networks, use the word that it's a frame of reference for a word. So, what I did, first I built two corpora. Corpora A, it's only definitions, and corpora B, it's the rest of the text without definitions that they gave me in the end. So I elaborated the collocate list of macho in the corpus A, and we have here, and yeah, I tried to put it also in Spanish, but I have no time to read it, everything in Spanish and English. So he says you have to, no, I don't like it, I wouldn't like, he is, of course, because it was definition, men, more, women to be, he wants, he does, he makes, he goes, his, her, and less. It's a pity I cannot read all these examples I have. Okay. And the next step, of course, I followed the steps described by Baker, because he wrote it very clearly. And I used this collocate list from the corpus A as a note for the corpus B. So I looked for the collocation of he has to, and the only one that was repeated in the male utterances is he has to be a man. I don't like, also men said, I don't like being lonely 4 times. And I'm talking about only about 14 people. So it was surprising for me. And the next collocate for this was men, and of course I had a lot of them. And here we have the ethic code of a macho, I think so. He has to maintain his family, he's selfish, he beats his woman up, he's aggressive, he is free, he has power and control, he's a womanizer, he can leave a woman with a child, or without a child, but he can live. He's worse than a woman, and you can see that in 7, I found 7 examples that he's worse than a woman. It will be repeated in others. When I use the mask means more, I also found this relation to women, and we can see that they are worse because women are more sensitive, more hardworking, but they declare that they're equal. And what was surprising, there is no clear difference between men and women regarding their sexual life, though they are womanizers. Women, it was very monotony. Women must be a good woman, be pure, stay at home, and if she transgresses these norms, she is judged much severely than men. Oh, yeah, of course, always. And the next colloquate, woman became a note, and then men a colloquate. I found things even more interesting because, of course, they are equal, but they are different. They should respect each other, but the woman should take care of herself. But it's to be pure, and the women are responsible for man's cheating because he's going out to the street to look for what he doesn't have at home, and the weapon of women is being perfidious. They can cheat on men as well. They can subordinate them, and they beat them as well. Yeah, I'm very good with time. We can see, of course, it's the preliminary because I already started work, but my idea was not to lose all these life histories or the opinions, beliefs, because as they don't use the word macho, I should leave just the biggest part of my work, because if you want to know what macho means, you should just stay with the definitions, but I think it's only the part that they declare, especially in front of the Polish girl, because I think it was important for them that I was Polish as well, because Juan Pablo II was dying at the same time, so he was really loved in Mexico. So they have also the cliché of the Polish girl, the Catholic and the pure and whatever. So I think it also could influence what they were saying to me. I think so, because then I was at the parties and I saw how they behaved, and I heard other stories, out of when I wasn't recording. So this is why I want to get to what they really associate with macho men. And here we have, let's see if it works. The first. More who doesn't like men, women, they are from the Corpus A, and the others are from Corpus B. And now I would like to listen to your opinions, because I'm not sure if I'm working the right way, really. I know that I have to accept that there is no final signified, and I will and I can continue this work forever, but I will not, because there are many things much more interesting in the work. But I would like to know how to work with this text, with the spoken text, with the life histories, to be most possible objective in my work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.